How to Read a Book, The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading. Written by Mortimer Adler and Charles Van Doren. Introduction. The Art of Reading with Purpose.
Books are more than just sources of information. They are tools for expanding the mind, sharpening critical thinking, and deepening understanding. However, many people approach reading passively, consuming words without fully engaging with the ideas they present. True reading is an active process, one that requires effort, skill, and strategy to extract meaning and insight. In this book summary, we will explore the essential principles of reading with purpose, uncovering how to approach books at different levels, engage critically with arguments, and master the art of lifelong learning through deep reading. Rather than simply absorbing information, the key to intellectual growth lies in actively interacting with texts, asking questions, analyzing structure, and distinguishing between different types of knowledge.
The 4 levels of reading.
Reading is not a one-size-fits-all activity. Different books require different approaches, and understanding this distinction is essential for becoming a more effective reader. At the most basic level, there is elementary reading, the foundation that allows one to understand words and sentences. This is the level at which children learn to read, but many adults never move beyond it. Beyond elementary reading is inspectional reading, a technique that allows a reader to get a general sense of a book's content without diving into every detail. Instead of reading a book from cover to cover, one first skims through the table of contents, introduction, and key sections to grasp its structure and central themes. This approach helps determine whether a book deserves deeper study or if a quick overview is sufficient. The next stage, analytical reading, requires a more engaged and thorough interaction with the text. Here, a reader dissects arguments, evaluates the logic behind claims, and asks questions that challenge or clarify the material. This level of reading transforms a passive experience into an intellectual dialogue, allowing the reader to absorb and critique the book's ideas rather than simply accepting them. At the highest level is syntopical reading, the method of comparing multiple books on a single topic to develop a broader understanding. Instead of treating each book in isolation, syntopical reading allows the reader to draw connections, identify common themes, and critically assess differing perspectives. This level of reading is particularly valuable for researchers, thinkers, and anyone seeking mastery in a particular field. Mastering these levels ensures that readers approach books with clarity, efficiency, and depth, adapting their strategy depending on the nature of the text.
Gaining insight through inspectional reading.
Not every book requires deep analytical reading, and often, a quick but structured approach is the most efficient way to engage with new material. Inspectional reading, sometimes called systematic skimming, is a skill that allows readers to extract key information rapidly. Instead of diving straight into the text, the reader first surveys the book's structure, focusing on its introduction, table of contents, and key chapters to get an overview of its arguments. By flipping through pages, scanning subheadings, and briefly glancing at concluding sections, the reader forms a general understanding of the book's main ideas. If a book holds significant value, inspectional reading sets the stage for a deeper engagement. If not, the reader has at least grasped its essence without unnecessary investment of time. This method is particularly useful when dealing with informational or instructional texts, where certain sections may be more relevant than others. The goal is to maximize comprehension in the shortest possible time, ensuring that attention is devoted only to books that genuinely deserve a deeper reading.
Engaging deeply with analytical reading.
Once a book has been identified as worthy of deeper exploration, analytical reading comes into play. This level of reading involves breaking down the author's arguments, identifying central themes, and questioning the validity of claims. Reading analytically is not about passive consumption, but about active engagement with the material, treating the book as a conversation rather than a monologue. One of the most effective ways to read analytically is to approach the text with a set of questions. What is the author trying to convey? What assumptions are being made? Is the evidence presented strong and convincing? By constantly questioning and analyzing, the reader moves beyond mere understanding and toward critical thinking. Engaging with a book at this level requires patience and effort, as it often means rereading passages, making notes, and reflecting on the ideas being presented. However, the reward is a deeper grasp of the subject matter and an ability to apply its insights to real-world thinking.
The power of asking questions while reading.
The difference between a passive reader and an active one lies in the ability to ask meaningful questions. Instead of merely absorbing the words on the page, an active reader constantly seeks clarification, challenges assumptions, and evaluates the strength of arguments. A well-read individual does not simply accept information at face value, but instead asks, what problem is the author trying to solve? Or, what underlying beliefs shape this perspective? By doing so, the reader develops sharper critical thinking skills, gaining the ability to discern truth from distortion. Asking the right questions also helps in retaining and recalling information. When the brain is actively engaged, forming connections between concepts becomes easier, leading to stronger memory and deeper comprehension.
Syntopical reading. Comparing ideas across books.
True knowledge does not come from reading a single book on a subject, but from synthesizing insights from multiple sources. Syntopical reading allows the reader to examine a topic from different angles, comparing perspectives and extracting broader truths. Rather than reading one book and accepting its conclusions, a syntopical reader selects multiple books on the same subject and evaluates them side by side. This approach helps to identify common arguments, detect biases, and develop a more nuanced understanding of complex issues. Syntopical reading is particularly valuable in fields like philosophy, history, and science, where different authors may offer conflicting interpretations of the same events or theories. By engaging with multiple viewpoints, the reader builds a well-rounded perspective that goes beyond any single author's opinion.
How to read different types of books.
Each genre of book requires a unique reading strategy. A novel is not approached the same way as a scientific paper, nor is a self-help book read in the same manner as a philosophical text. Understanding these differences allows the reader to tailor their reading style to match the material. Practical books demand an application-focused approach. The key is not just to understand the concepts, but to integrate them into daily life. Meanwhile, history books require careful attention to cause and effect relationships, ensuring that events are understood in context rather than as isolated facts. Scientific works, often dense with terminology and complex arguments, demand a slow, methodical reading process to fully grasp their implications. Literature and fiction, on the other hand, require emotional and thematic engagement. Beyond the plot, the reader must analyze character development, symbolism, and underlying messages. A deep reading of fiction reveals layers of meaning that go beyond simple storytelling, enriching the reader's experience. By recognizing these distinctions, a reader can adjust their strategy to maximize comprehension and retention across different genres.
Conclusion. The path to becoming a better reader.
Reading is not just a skill, but an intellectual discipline that requires constant refinement. Those who master the art of reading approach books with curiosity, discernment, and a willingness to challenge ideas. Instead of passively absorbing words, they engage actively, question deeply, and integrate knowledge into their thinking. The difference between a casual reader and a great reader is not in how many books they have read, but in how well they have understood, analyzed, and applied the knowledge gained from them. By developing the ability to read at different levels, engage critically with ideas, and synthesize information across multiple sources, anyone can become a more insightful, informed, and capable thinker. The challenge is not just to read more, but to read better. The true power of reading lies not in the number of pages turned, but in the depth of understanding and the transformation of thought that follows.
Thanks for listening. Did you enjoy this book summary? Got ideas on how we can make it even better? Drop us a quick note. We're always listening and learning from you.